very hearty welcome to the 5-day faculty development program organized by Internal Quality Assurance Cell of Sri Ayyappa College for Women and Shiksha Sanskriti Udhanyas Tamil Nadu chapter. Indeed, we are fortunate to have got very good resource persons from a pan-India sort of resource person from everywhere, from all over the nation. And we hope that this faculty development program will help to improve ourselves as teachers by inculcating the spirit of nationalism, a sense of our heritage and tradition. And today, into the first day of the program, we have Sri A. Vinodji as our resource person. And let me welcome him heartily to this program. A very hearty welcome to you, sir. And also we have our IQAC coordinator, Dr. Meena, along with us, and our principal, Dr. K.V. Jayashree ma'am. A very hearty welcome to you, both of you. And my co-convener, Dr. Santosh of SSUN, a very hearty welcome to you. And a very hearty bouquet of welcome to all my dear participants. Now, let me move on to the duty of introducing our speaker of the day. Sri A. Vinodji is currently holding the position of National Coordinator, Bharatiya Bhasha Shiksha Sanskriti Udhanyas, New Delhi. And he is also taking care of the South Zone of Shiksha Bachao Andolan Samiti, and he is the state executive member of Vidya Bharat Rashtriya Shiksha Sansthan, and he is the executive member of Bharatiya Vichara Kendram, which is a research center for national resurgence based on Thiruvananthapuram, Kerala. And he is also the secretary of Madhava Ganitha Kendram, and he is the president of Aravinda Vidya Niketan, and is the former state president of Akhila Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad. And he's also the organizing committee member of International Workshop on Value-Based Life and International Convention on Universal Message of Shimshab Kumbha 2016. And he has a lot of publications to his credit. He has more than 60 articles published in leading weeklies and dailies in Malayalam language, such as Madhrubhumi Daily Weekly, Kesari Weekly, Samakalina Malayalam Weekly, Janmabhoomi Daily, and many other soapnews. And he has a lot of monographs to his credit, around 8 in number, and he has attended national level educational seminars and workshops. And he has been involved in many areas of social commitment and involvement, and his contribution to the curriculum development and things of national importance is to be specially mentioned. We are really, I should mention again, we are really fortunate to have Vinodji among us today. And today he'll be introducing us the Bharatiya concept of education. A very hearty welcome to you, sir. And the platform is yours now.
Namaste to all. I'm very happy to be here, and I'm congratulating both this Ayyappa College for Men's Kanyakumari and Shiksha Sanskriti Udhanyas Tamil Nadu chapter for organizing such a faculty development program, which is need of the hour. It is clearly mentioned in our education policy what are the main objectives of education, and it is stated that to make the young students acquainted with Indian cultural values and motivate them for protection and conservation of the values. It is stated in the policy statement, and it is very much emphasized in the first National Commission of Education headed by D.S. Kothari. And when we go to the international concept of education, especially by the United States, the UNESCO states the education of a nation should be rooted in the culture. So, here you are organizing a 5-day program on orienting your faculty members, our teachers, on Indian value systems. If we go to our history, let me share some slides with you. This is Great Bharat. Around 2000 years back, India was at the pinnacle of prosperous and prosperity and peace in the world. It covers almost all Asia, and it reached the Europe and America also. As you are from Tamil Nadu, if you think of the contribution of Tamil Nadu during this time of Cholas, the Chola kingdom has reached out to a very big area in the around the Indian Ocean. So, in that area, in that time of span, India was considered as the Jagat Guru. World came to India not only for seeking knowledge, but they want to have a good relation with India, both in trade, political, fraternity, and seeking the truth. Everywhere there was an urge to come to India and stay here, study from here, and take something from here. But in the next phase of history, that is in the last 1000 years, we lost all this due to the enslavement of Bharat from the Mughals or the Arabs, Southeast Asia, Muslim invaders, as well as thereafter in the 16th and 17th century by the Europeans. And what happened? They gradually destroyed our education system, our economic system, our system of governance, our culture, our values, and something what is remaining nowadays are some rituals and some ruins of that great Indian culture. In the beginning of 19th century, there was so many Indian scholars came forward to bring out India's greatness. In the same time, the Britishers, through their education system, which was put forth in 1835 by Macaulay, systematically destroyed the Indian system of education which was prevailing all over India, which was narrated in the beautiful tree of Dharma Pal. But fortunately, some people like Swami Vivekananda, Aurobindo, they rose up to that time and they traveled towards West and they conquered the West with the spirit of India's tradition, heritage and history. Swami Vivekananda in his tremendous lectures in the European countries, once he told to a gathering of scientists that India has given the antiquity, the earliest scientific physicians, he has been contributed to modern medical science by discovery of various chemicals and by treating you how to reform mishappen years and news. Like that he goes. Why this type of activity all over the world, especially by Swami Vivekananda, Aurobindo and Mahatma Gandhi, Rabindranath Tagore, etc. There was a new light in the European nations also. The many great personality of the modern fraternity, maybe from a scientific background, philosophical background or historical background, they studied India's culture, history, contribution. I wish to put some of the opinion of great personality of the world, better than listing what are the Indian tradition knowledge by myself, you may be more pleased to hear from such people. We know Albert Einstein, a German Nobel laureate, considered one of the greatest scientists and philosophers of all time. He has many times he repeated this idea, and APJ Abdul Kalam in his Wings of Fire, it is quoted Albert Einstein saying, "We owe a lot to the Indians who taught us how to count, without which new worldwide scientific discovery could have been made." This is the observation of a excellent scientist of the modern era. After Einstein, Werner Heisenberg, who is one of the greatest scientists who followed Einstein, especially on quantum physics, he has told, after the conservation about Indian philosophy, some of the ideas of quantum physics that had seemed to be crazy suddenly made much more sense. Now this is how the Indian knowledge system is coming to meet with the modern scientific research. This is what is happening in the world. Not only scientists, but philosophers of the modern time also realize the great contribution of India. The American-born British poet philosopher T.S. Eliot, once he told, Indian philosophers subtletize make most of the great European philosophers look like schoolboys. This comment was made such a great person who wrote The Wasteland, which is considered one of the most important poems of the 20th century. If we go to another great personality like Arthur Schopenhauer, he says, in the whole world, there is no study so beneficial and so elevating as that of the Upanishads. It has been the solace of my life, and it will be the solace of my death. They are the product of the highest wisdom. This is quoted by Jawaharlal Nehru in his discovery of India. Whether it is scientists or philosophers, in the modern time, many people came to recognize and appreciate and become the followers of Indian philosophy, Indian scientific pursuit, Indian wisdom. And if we go to the concept eyes of historians or social critics, one is F.M. Voltaire, that we know Voltaire was a forerunner of French Revolution, and he was a crusade against fanaticism and superstition, and he was the author, he is considered as the author of enlightenment in the Europe. He writes, if India, whom the whole earth needs, and who alone need no one, must be that very fact to be the most ancient civilized land, she must therefore have had the most ancient form of religion. This is the one of the best quoting about India. India is needed for others, rest of the world, but India can stand by herself. This is the concept of a man who enlightened the Europe during the 16th and 17th century. And this 16th and 17th centuries historical evolution in Europe, what the Enlightenment gave after 200 years in the world, that we have experienced in the end of 18th and 19th and 20th century. During this period, in the end of this 20th century, another historian from America, Arnold Joseph Toynbee, and he's a British eminent economic historian, a writer, and he has written the book A Study of History. He says, at this supremely dangerous moment in human history, the only way of salvation is the ancient Hindu way. Here, we have the attitude and the spirit that can make it possible for the human race to go together into a single family. Now, many Western scholars are telling about the globalization by means of market. We have a concept of global village or global family with the bondage of family relations. Taking this concept of oneness or togetherness in a single family, Arnold Toynbee is telling that only the Indian way of life approach to the issues of the modern world is only the solution. So now we turn to India, a spiritual gift that make a man human. The spiritual gift of India is making a man, a human, is still alive in India's soul. Go on giving the world Indian example of it. Nothing else can do so much to the help of mankind to save it from self-destruction. The Western world is a self-destructive mode. Why I quoted all these things? Even now we have a slavish mindset or colonial mindset. If any person from India, an educated man or any rishi or any social worker, even from the Prime Minister or President of India, speaks something like this, that India is a great nation. India's knowledge system is one of the greatest in the world. I think many of our youngsters, our so-called academicians will not accept. But the academicians, the philosophers, the historians, the scientists of the world, the great minds, they are recognizing India's great contribution in the world of science, in the world of philosophy, in the world of history, and all walks of life. If we go to, they have narrated many things, but I want to make you some examples where we have produced unparalleled wisdom in almost all possible walks of life of human day-to-day affairs. From our childhood itself, we start our experiments or we start our wisdom with by understanding the natural phenomena, how the earth is, how the universe is, how the sun is. All these things are the basic concepts of science from the beginning of schooling. First we believe or we are taught that our earth was considered as a plane, and only after the man called Magellan from Spain, who had a adventurous voyage on his little craft, and he himself realized that the Earth is global or it is spherical in shape. This was happened in very recent time that we know. And scientifically, in 16th century only, Kepler, Copernicus and Galileo wrote a scientific explanation of the spherical shape of Earth. When they introduced this concept of spherical dimension of our Earth, all are crucified. But in India, if we go to our test, in the modern time, I am telling it as a modern time test by Aryabhatiya, that is 5th century CE. He says, Bhugolo Sarvadovritta. He with his calculation, he calculated the size of the earth, the diameter of the earth, the distance from sun, all this he calculates. But it is one of the best modern concept, modern calculated scientific approach towards the size and shape of earth. Even before that, in 6th century's Varahamihira's book, Pancha Siddhantika, or thereafter, even in Rigveda, it is many a time stated that the earth is round, earth is like globe, sphere. But nowhere in the textbooks, even at the level of school or college or even the research level, nowhere this concept of Indian knowledge is introduced in our books. We just memorize and follow what was happened in Europe. Not only the shape of the earth, the famous scientific Indian discovery is that of gravitational force. Newton, in the 17th century, he became the center of all scientific discoveries. And the story is known to everybody. When an apple fell on Newton's head, he thought of that why it came down and not went up. And by thinking on this, contemplating on this, he discovered the gravitational force, that everything is attracted towards earth. But this is elaborately mentioned in many texts in Sanskrit in India. I wish to mention one or two. One is Surya Siddhanta. We don't know the time, it may be BC 200 or something. And then we have 6th century Varahamihira's Pancha Siddhantika, and 11th century Bhaskaracharya's Siddhanta Shiromani also. It elaborately says how the earth is attracting everything towards it, what is the quantity of it, how it ranges from some other places like Dhruva. All these are elaborately mentioned in our mathematical as well as astronomy books, Jyotish Shastra and Ganita books. Even now, no mention of the most recent test, that is Siddhanta Shiromani of 11th century of Bhaskaracharya. We are not mentioning what Bhaskaracharya has told about this gravitational force. In one place we are putting the name Bhaskara for our satellite, but the child, the school boy, the college students, they don't know what are the contribution of Bhaskaracharya. Oh, Bhaskaracharya was a great mathematician some times ago, that much they know. But we are not ready to introduce that this gravitational force was known to Indian seers and Indian scientists. About the solar system, the same Kepler, Galileo, and Copernicus, they made the new concept of solar system that around the sun. Poetically, there may be a lot of stories and poems like sun is coming from the east and going to west. But scientifically, what the scientific tests are telling is important in this area. There are so many, even in Aryabhata, Saryabhatiya, and so many other tests, it is told how the sun is revolving around the sun, earth is revolving around the sun, how long it takes time, what is its spin, what is the time, it is calculated. And the sunlight, we know it is with your now Newton's ring that we know. But how the sun's light is described in many of our scientific tests. It is told it is Saptavarna. In sometimes poetically it is told Sapta Ashwa. Ashwa means horse, and sometimes Ashwa means ray also. So the sun is coming in a Ratham or chariot of Sapta Ashwas. 7 horses are there. So all these are mentioned in ancient as well as the medieval scientific test. If we go to the area of chemistry or Rasayana Shastra, one of our great scientists of modern era, who is considered as the father of Indian pharmaceutical science, nowadays his name is coming in this time of pandemic Corona-19. He has elaborately taken all these concepts, how the chemistry, Rasayana Shastra is developed here. From Rigvedic period to the modern period, the science of chemistry is used in preparing medicine, in preparing these neural paints for textiles, many other purposes for construction, many type of cements were prepared, and alloys. All this area, how the chemistry was developed, is a big area of interest. On science of life and health, only in 17th century William Henry recognized the importance of heart in a body. He said heart is the very important vital organ, and it circulates the blood to all parts. But he was not able to describe how the blood is coming back to the heart. Only after 40 years, another physician, he found out how the liver is working and how the blood is purified and again pumped to heart, was narrated after a century. But in India, the name Hridaya itself is the definition of all these functions. In Nidukta, that is the etymology science, the Hridaya word itself comes from 3 sounds. Hridaya. The sound Hri means receiving, and Da means giving, and Ya means circulates. So Hridaya means taking or receiving blood and giving blood and circulating. That is Hridayam. So in a nice manner, by knowing the function or dharma of the organ, the name was given. And the whole system of blood circulation, the nervous system, and the skeleton, all these anatomical or physiological features of human body, as well as this is applied to many other, especially cow, that is horse, cow, and elephant, which are some of the main domestic animals, were also introduced in Hala Ayurveda and some other science, veterinary science textbooks. And some textbooks of Ayurveda I want to mention here, which is very interesting. From Rigvedic period, there are many marvelous treatises on medicine and human body and diagnosis and treatment. All these are preparation of medicine. All these are mentioned. I wish to mention some of them. Charaka Samhita, we might have heard, that is 6th century BC. Shishura Samhita, 5th century. Ashtanga Hridaya, again 6th century. Sarankatara Samhita, it is very recent, that is 13th century or 12th century or 13th century. Bhava Pragasha and Madhava Nidana Shastra. Nidana Shastra is how a man dies. Like so many tests has prepared, or even now it is available in the area of life science. And in the Ayurveda, the medical treatments is classified in many branches, mainly 8 branches, like Kaya Chikitsa, that is general medicine. If you go to any modern hospital, super specialty hospital, these are the departments even now. Then Kaumara Vidya, that is pediatrics. Shalya Chikitsa, that is surgery. Chalakya Chikitsa, that is ophthalmology or ENT. Bauddha Vidya is psychiatry. Vishatandra is Visha Chikitsa, that is toxicology. Then Rasayana, that is regeneration of therapy. Many aristas, many rasayanas are there. Vachikarana therapy. Like so many area of medicine, branch of medical science was well developed in Ayurveda, and it was treated in India. Even now, some of the best institution of Ayurveda is following all these things. If we go to some other area, at present time, we are considering those people who have no education, no knowledge of science, they are farmers. There is no much science or knowledge behind farming. So farmers are considered, or village people are considered as illiterate, uneducated, backward. But 70% of Indian population and 90% of Indian economy depends upon Indian agriculture. And once this Indian agriculture field was providing 25% of the world trade and world GDP. For such a field of agriculture, there should be a science. So every farmer had a knowledge, green skills that we can call today. And now we are going back to these green skills of our traditional farmers. That is organic manure, how to make organic manure, crop rotation, which is nowadays it is telling it is the best scientific method of farming or cultivation, crop rotation. Then crop interval is there. So these type of so many knowledge was there. There was best example of different type of crop rotation, crop interval, organic farming. And this is one thing. The other thing is how to maintain the different factors of agriculture like rainfall, predicting rainfall, managing rainfall, and fertility of the land, how to increase the fertility, then seed cultivation, then water management, water harvesting, water storing, irrigation, all these things. Then preservation and storing of the food grains. Then cattle was some of the main supporting element in this farming. So cattle science was a broad science. It goes to milk based other things, Panchagavya based science. In many cow related science is a big science in this area. So all this knowledge was there. And all these things are scientifically recorded also. From Rigveda, so many books are there. Rigveda and Atharva Veda mention so many methods, so many rituals, so many concepts on agriculture. That Arthashastra of Kaudilya of 4th century BC, it describes different things on rainfall, how to even the taxation, many things on coolie also, how much the wage should be given to different category of laborers, what is the category of rent for different type of lands. All these things are mentioned here. There. Then Krishi Parashara is a text of 1st BC. It is written by Parashara. Then Agni Purana of Vyasa, Brihad Samhita of Varahamihira, Krishi Sutra of Kashyapa, Vriksha Ayurveda of 10th century Surapala, and Manasollasa of 11th century of Somasegara, Upavana Vinoda of 13th century of Sarangagra. There are so many such famous books in Sanskrit, and there are traditional knowledge right from Vanvasi area, that is forest dwelling people, to coastal people. There are different local knowledge also on this area. And if we go to the other area of big industry or self-employment area is kalas, arts. 64 kalas are mentioned, which we can say at present day professional courses. And in this kala for 64 kalas, some are arts performance, some are skills, some are techniques of preservation of foods, making different juices, making different type of agro-based materials. All these are included in these 64 kalas. Then we can see the wonders of our knowledge in many places, especially in Tamil Nadu. If you go to Madurai Meenakshi temple and Madurai, the city planning itself is a wonder in the world. And even now it is a big challenge to the modern architecture and engineers. For this type of construction and planning, how much mathematics, how much chemical science, engineering, all are needed, we can think of. And for all these, there are so many great seers, scientists, right from Vedic period to modern era. But we don't know the names. Some of the names we hear here and there. But we know Pythagoras, we know Archimedes, we know Euclid, we know all such people. Yes, they are great, of course. But why we are denying our great rishis, scientists who invented Pythagoras theorem years, centuries before Pythagoras, and that of atomic structure even before many modern scientists, our Kanada Muni, many people has described about the Anu and Paramanu. We can go through all these things. And we were in mechanical engineering also, we were great achievement. We have vehicles both in sea as well as in space. When we say about the spacecraft, everybody will rush into Pushpaka Vimana and say Spain, all these people. And both, if you go to the planet as well as into the planets, Indian scientists were the pioneers in discovery of the scientific truth. The biodiversity of the plant kingdom, the diversity or the surprise of the universe, all they seek the truth, and they made systematically studied everything, and they recorded in a systematic way also. So there are so many books that is still available, and in our society all these things were maintained by the great Rajas, great artists and great statesmen like Kautilya, all these people. The Artha Shastra we may know, but right from Ramayana, you can see the concept of governance, good governance, administration, how the law should be implemented. So in all these areas, there are so many Dharma Shastras, Niti Shastras, and tests are there. In all these areas, we can have many relevant subjects, relevant concepts, even for the most modern world order. And with all this good governance, administration and management, with agriculture, craft and kala, art, with all these, India flourished into the highest pinnacle of material prosperity and peace and power. These are some of the maps of that time's world trade routes. One is giving the sea route, how the western coast of India became the ports of international trade, and how the international ports of other nations are scattered, and how this is clustered. All the ships carrying goods and cargoes were leaving the western coastal belt of India, and it was moving, I think, all over the world, Europe, Africa, Southeast Asia, and like that. And in the eastern coast also, like Chennai, Thoothukudi, this area, it was covering the other side of the globe. And this map shows how the two, we can't say this national highways, international highways, which is called Dakshinapada and Uttarapada, two trade routes were there through the land. These are the land trade routes in the Asia. And in these two areas, both in sea as well as in land, we were controlling all the world with business, commerce, trade and knowledge. That is why these great people expected India has something to do in the modern era. I told how what Arnold Toynbee told, and he again said, we have to turn to India, the spiritual gift that make a man human, and he is still living in the Indian soil. This is alive in Indian soil, but it is not powerful in Indian minds. It is our duty of the education system to rouse this spirit of Indianness, this spirit of world citizenship, this spirit of India's traditional and cultural backing is the need of the time. The modern Shilpis of modern India who give much importance to education, whether it is D.S. Kothari or APJ Abdul Kalam, who work in the grassroots level with the Indian concept, that is Varghese Kurian on cattle science, Dhavala Viplav, White Revolution. All these people has made a beautiful vision. They started a wonderful mission. It is our duty to take all these things forward to the young generation of India's present day. Some initiatives have started at the government level also, but as you know, if government takes something and gives some input to the lower level, the institution level, it is the institution has to take it. Otherwise, this will be in paper, and nowadays it will be in the website. MHRD has initiated a optional course at +1, +2 level named Knowledge, Tradition and Practices of India. It has divided into 23 modules. In the first year, the module covers around 10 modules. It is astronomy in India, chemistry in India, Indian literature, philosophic system, Indian traditional knowledge of environmental conservation, Ayurveda, life, health and well-being, and historical evolution of medical tradition. Like many written areas are in the 10th, 11th class level, and 12th class level, Indian ethics, individual and social, that is value system and legal system, education system, this dance and folk and classic dance, architecture, society and politics, painting, all these things, martial arts, other technology, and trade and commerce, in many areas, especially these are the prominent area even today. What was India's contribution? What was India's history? What is the ethos, morals on these areas? How much we contributed in these areas? What are the preliminary tests? Who are the pioneers in this area? All are surveyed and made as a chapter for +1, +2 students. The college has to take this as a challenge, and from this they have to develop a good resource in their own colleges. So this type of faculty development program should not end in this type of 1 day, 1 hour program, but you have to take it as a challenge, it as a mission in your college. So all your departments can take this as a challenge. For example, you can collect as much resource materials, books, new journals on this area. If it is commerce, we prefer for commerce area, trade and commerce, economic activity. And if it is science, on which stream you are doing, to take, identify 1 or 2 your professors, faculty members to do all these things, who are interested in these things. So this is one of the initial work we have to start in our colleges or universities. Second, our students has to see all these things. So picturize these things. Make a small pictorial exhibition in all your departments, your classrooms. What are India's contribution? At what time? Who are the pioneer people? Like this, we have to do something. If we do such things in our college, in our department, in our classroom, then only this process of Indianization of education, synthesis in Indian traditional law system to this present day modern education will be fruitful. So we want to think of what are the first phase of our activity, then second phase, third phase, like that. I think all the faculty members who are attending this program will take some initiatives, and the college who is hosting this program, Ayyappa College at Kanyakumari, will become a model of this type of activity. People like, we have to say that there is a college in Kanyakumari, you can go and see all these things, where Indian knowledge system is showcased according to the different departments of the university system or college. And in every department there should be a resource person on that area. And we have to encourage our students and young teachers to do research on this Indian traditional knowledge system. And we have to bring up with a more and more knowledge system which is unknown to us. So this 1 hour program and the following 5 days should be set a new phase in the advancement of Indianizing Indian education system. I am very thankful to all of you. Thank you all. Let us go together. Vande Mataram. Sabita ji.
Vinod ji, it was an excellent.
How long it took?
We finished on time. It was an excellent talk and a very comprehensive introduction. To the knowledge tradition of Bharat. And I have noted in many discussions that academicians often complain that even if we want to bring in any change in the educational system, even if we want to educate our next generation on the traditional knowledge of Bharat, we don't have enough textbooks. And the way you concluded, demanding that the faculty should come forward to create the textbook. What is the need of
Yes.
the hour is the textbook creation. And so that was a question which I wanted to ask you, that we need textbooks, and you have thrown the ball to our court.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I don't
No,
know.
no, I told we will together work.
Yes.
So there are so many people who is working on bringing up, doing research on this, and we have to coordinate three groups together here. One is the young researchers, our PG students. At the degree level itself, we want to motivate them to do some research on these specific areas according to their interest. Then our teachers, faculty, they have, it is their duty to take these young research students to the great person who is doing some research on this. And we want to list, first of all, we want to list these are the basic textbooks in this. This is in life science. If it is not even Ayurveda, we can put this in botany department, zoology department, any department. This Ayurvedic test and Ayurvedic concepts can be put on. If it is a science and arts and science college, the architectural as well as mechanical engineering, all this we can put in maths, physics, chemistry labs or departments and library. And we have to take our students to such areas. If we go to Madurai Meenakshi temple or at your own Kanyakumari or Rameshwaram, we are only experiencing the spiritual beauty. Yes, we have to experience that spiritual atmosphere. Then after that, we want to think of the material thing. India was not a land of mere spiritual things or philosophy. We had developed science and knowledge in all possible walks of life. That is why I gave more stress on agriculture and health science. After this corona, everybody is thinking of health care and food safety. These are the basic concept India has developed. You see, what is the basic concept of India? We have to be moksha, jivan mukta. But before that, we want sharira. Sharira madhyam khalu dharma sadhanam. Without sharira, even the God can't do anything. So they took avadara. So sharira, importance of sharira is two things. One is food, the other is maintaining the mechanism healthy. So traditionally, this health care and food science was two major areas. There are so many textbooks.
Now let me request the coordinator of IQAC, Dr. K. Meena, to deliver the formal vote of thanks.
Good evening to all. It's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks for this session. I would like to propose a vote of thanks to our resource person, Shri A. Vinod, Member, National Monitoring Committee of Education, Ministry of HRD, Government of India. Sir, you explained clearly through how that throughout history, indigenous people have been responsible for the development of many technologies and have substantially contributed to science. Sir, thank you for your very interesting and thought-provoking speech. I would like to express my gratitude to Dr. M. Santosh Kumar, State Convener, SSUN Tamil Nadu Chapter, for arranging this FDP. I thank all the participants for your cooperation and active participation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So this is the organizing team on behalf of IQACC Ayyappa College for Women and Shiksha Sanskriti Udhanya signing off. See you again. Have a good day. Thank you so much.